Hello, good evening. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Rox Box. Nice to see people coming in. So, before we welcome this evening's special guest, if we can just come together for the crystal connection of yesterday. So, hello, Carolyn. Hey, Danielle. Hey, Lucy. So yesterday we were connecting, carrying, and sleeping with the crystal of our choice, whether it was a sacred crystal or whether it's a crystal that we wanted to work with. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Anne. So if we just spend a couple of minutes just to discuss that. And then today's connection, again, we're going to be connecting, carrying, and sleeping with this crystal. I will discuss that on Monday. And I think we all, hey, Carolyn, I think we all agreed that on Monday will be our first day of connecting to either a solar plexus crystal or a crystal of our choice, one that is speaking to us. We've done this a few weeks now, and you are doing really well. So I'm happy for you to branch off on your own and find your own crystal and work on those layers, layering up that crystal. So I can see that our special guest is in the waiting room ready for us. So as soon as we've done these connections, I will open up tonight's discussion with the lovely Jennifer Jones. And if you've got anything next week that you'd like me to discuss, I'm more than happy to. Again, I'm going to be carrying on the theme of crystals for ... So crystals for confidence, crystals for strength, crystals for power, crystals for what have you. So, but if you've got anything that I've not mentioned or covered and you want me to cover that, we certainly can do. And then next Wednesday, our special guest is the lovely Andrea, who is sometimes a guest on the Rox Box. We're going to be discussing her about her spiritual background. She's part of a coven, and she is also a veterinary nurse. So at the moment, she's looking into incorporating the spiritualness into the veterinary practice. So we've got her coming along. And then next Saturday, a week today, we've got the lovely Aroma Wizards joining us. Anne Paulette, who is a regular here at 5 o'clock. She will be coming along with the other half of Aroma Wizards, Georgie, giving us a taster on the discussion on aromatherapy, the oils, what they do workshop-wise, and their background. So again, another week of amazing special guests. So just give you all a few minutes to jot down. Hi, Sarah, to jot down yesterday's crystal connection. And also, thank you all so much for supporting us last night with the market. It took me a while to come back down. In fact, I had a lovely chat afterwards with the with Ems Lowe, who was one of the lovely people that joined us last night, chatting and slowly grounding myself down. It was a bit high energy last night, but thank you all so much for supporting that. Invoices should be out, so please do check them, and please do check, because I did have somebody message me earlier because I actually charged them the lot number rather than the price of the crystal, and the lot number was a lot higher than what that crystal was. So thankfully she did double check first, and I realized my mistake. I must have still had a bit of scholarship in my system from last night. So Amanda had a lovely week connecting to Orange Calcite. After your animal spirits on Thursday, I wanted to try a guided meditation to see if I could connect to my spirit animal too, with the orange calcite and the sunstone that I brought off you. The animal I saw was a ginger cat, orange, from my past. I don't really remember this cat. I've only seen him in photos from when I was a baby. The pic was of him watching over me as a baby. I've never really thought of this cat's name, Whiskey. That is beautiful. That's really nice, Amanda. And it's so nice that you connected and a guide came through, which was a ginger cat, orange. You were dealing with both two orange crystals for the solar plexus. So it was so nice that you saw a cat that was part of the family. So an ancestral relationship there, a link there that you had of it being a baby. So that's really nice. And again, it might be just tapping you in, because I don't think I got the whole comment there. So do feel free to private message me that later, and I'll go through it a little bit more in depth. But it might be a linkage of just tapping into your inner child again. If the cat came through and you've got that link to being a baby, might just be to tap into that inner child. Okay. So Sarah, yesterday was a tough day for me, but then had a really deep sleep last night and a long lie thanks to my sunstone. Today has been a much more positive. Oh, sweetheart, I don't bless you for having a tough day. It's a roller coaster at the moment. I had some very vivid dreams, but can't actually remember them now. I just know that I was dreaming a lot, and I know there was a spirit animal present. I hope it comes back tonight and I can remember. Oh, I hope so, because tonight again, today we're connecting, carrying and sleeping with a crystal, the crystal that you've been working with all week. So we've got the final day, then tomorrow is our day off. Don't touch the crystal, but write up a summarize, write up a journey of how you felt throughout the week. Do some research, see what other people have felt connecting with that stone, and see if there's any resemblances. But yeah, I'm glad you're feeling positive today, Sarah. That is exactly what sunstone should be doing for you. And if you've got any tough days, drop me a message. I'll crack a smile. Don't you worry about that. Okay, so Lucy, with my carnelian, I have seen reptiles during my connection. A crocodile and a massive lizard who was upside down for some reason. I have seen dragon-shaped clouds while out walking too. The days have been calm and flowing, but really disrupted sleep. But that's not the crystal's fault. Okay, yeah, so again, you're getting a lot of river, you're getting a lot of flow, you're getting a lot of water with this carnelian. So I do think this carnelian was from the river banks. I do think it was the type that we find in a river. So definitely that. I have no idea why a lizard was upside down. That is something you might need to work on yourself and go in a bit deeper, connect, fine tune that to see why the lizard was upside down. Well, I suppose if the lizard was upside down, it would be on his back, which means chilling. You know, being laid back, having that approach, maybe. Okay. So thank you, Lucy. Anne, sleeping better, but did have sunstone and rhodonite under pillow last night. Connection to sunstone, desert scene, but initially saw big eyes of camel. Then I was then watching the caravan journeying across the desert. It was like getting dark. They were setting up camp, lighting a fire, noise outside, and lost connection. Oh, I took my sunstone along with a few others. My Ancestral school wanted to come to a lovely, quiet local beach. They had a few soaks in water and sat on rocks drying. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, it'd be nice if you've got a beach nearby and just take them, dip them into a rock pool. Beautiful. But yeah, with yours, so yeah, desert scenes, perfect. It's just a shame that you had that noise and lost that connection, but you had a connection. That is really good. I saw Andrea I saw a really huge, intensely bright orange dragon's eye, being positive all week and very vivid dreams, most of which I can't remember, but they were good. Still connecting with my orange. Okay, so yeah, and we're seeing these dragons. There's a lot of people seeing dragons, seeing reptiles, seeing lizards, crocodiles. If we take those on, they're the strength, they're the courage, they're confident building. And a bit like the snake, when I was saying the other day about the snake being that guide and just being by our sides while we are transitioning, while we're gaining a higher outlook on our spiritual journey. These are too, I think majority of these are going to be guides, and they're just coming along, feeding us that confidence, that courage that we're needing to trust. Okay, we're dealing with orange stones, so we're dealing with our space of intuition, which is our solar plexus, our sacral chakra. So we just need to rely on those guides of, okay, I need to trust. I need to go with my intuition and trust that. And that's what these scaly beings are showing us, that we can trust in ourselves. Don't worry about what other people are thinking. Okay. I thought you meant citrine, Andrea. Yeah, that's what I thought with cut fine. I think that might be a citrine there. So yeah, perfect. And citrine is more up on the solar, more on the solar plexus. So the dragon is that power center, really bringing that power into you, and allowing you to be in that power. And whether that is on a spiritual level, so really soaking and drawing in that flame would be beautiful. So well done all. Okay. And so Andrea, who has just come in now, commented, she's the lovely lady who's going to be joining us on Wednesday. And then Anne Paulette, who's also been commenting, she's one half of Aroma Wizards, and they'll be joining us on Saturday. And I took my little piece to bed with me last night, my gorgeous new rhodonite. So you see, I already broke the rules because it only arrived yesterday. So did I connect? Yes. Did I carry? Absolutely. And did it come to bed with me? You bet it did. So yeah, I didn't just connect with it. I had to do all three. It was beautiful. So absolutely brilliant. So again, today we're doing that. Tomorrow's our day off. Day off for you guys for connecting. Just do some research, just summarize what you've done, and then Monday we'll carry on a new day. Okay, but I'll hear about today's connection on Monday. All right, so let us crack on with this show, because I am absolutely honored to have this lady come on tonight. She's a neighbour of ours at the Healing Weekend. She's made us feel welcome there. She's become such a good friend of ours, and I love being in her company. She is full of amazing stories of what she has done, and I'm hoping tonight to delve in deeper on some of these amazing adventures that this lady has been on. So if we're all sitting comfortably, coffee in hand, or whatever your tipple may be, I will welcome you all to the lovely Jennifer Jones.
Hello.
Oh, how are you, sweetheart?
I'm all right, thank you. If you see little crystals, I mean little rainbows on me, it's just the crystals in the window.
It's not
there's quite a few in the room. And my dog, because I've just started speaking, my dog has just come over to say hello as well. So hopefully she'll go and settle down.
Doris?
This is Doris, yes.
Oh, Doris.
She's taken my shoe already, and hey, let me put that down somewhere, because she walks around the house with my shoes. Yes.
So yeah. So Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on today.
You're welcome. Lovely. Thank you so much. And I'm honoured to be asked. How lovely.
Absolutely. So some people might have not known the name, but by looking at you, they'll be like, ah, there's the lady who does Neil's Yard. But tonight, we're taking out the Neil's Yard because this lady is so much more than someone you get your lavender from. And we're hoping to delve deep into some of these amazing adventures you've been on. So you are, at the moment, you are an advisor to the trustees at the Healing Trust.
Yeah. And I'm a member of the Healing Trust, obviously, and I'm also a tutor with the Healing Trust. At the moment, I'm also an advisor to the board of the Healing Trust, the trustees of the Healing Trust. And I've been with the Healing Trust for actually not that long, only 16 years compared to the rest of my healing journey, which is 30 years and more. Because of course I'm about 39.
Absolutely.
But yes, I've been a healer for a very long time, and I've done lots of other things too.
Absolutely, which I'm hoping we can delve into. Where did this start? Where did Jennifer decide to what was your first encounter into the spiritual world or any spiritual influences?
I knew stuff as a child that I didn't know how I knew. And I used to go to the end of the garden as quite a small child and play games, and with my invisible friends I used to do little tea parties by picking leaves and making little plates of pretend food for my friends at the bottom of the garden where nobody would see me because I was a long way from the house. It was a long garden. So I know there was all that going on. My grandmother, my mother's mother, was somebody who read palms and tea leaves, and she was definitely into all of that stuff. My mother's father's people were full of all sorts of things. They were holding seances at their house, and this was in Suffolk. They held seances in their house. My mother used to go to them as a child. How anybody would allow a child into a seance, I don't know, but every Tuesday night they would have these seances. So there was a lot. And my Uncle Fred, so my mother's uncle, actually, my mother's Uncle Fred was a medium and healer. Well, he was more of a healer. And then my mother's Uncle Stanley, who I think I have told you about, was an astrologer for 40 years when I first met him, when I was about 20, 22 maybe. And so there was a lot of all of that going on in the family.
So you had a lot of influences. You were brought up around this. I mean, tea leaves. That's one of the things I would love to learn. I would love to learn some tea leaf reading. I think, these old little things, I think are going to be lost soon. And I think it's important that we hold on to some of these traditions of divination.
Absolutely. And I remember I used to go and stay with my grandmother quite a lot. My father died when I was quite young, and to get away from my mother, because we used to argue somewhat, I would go and stay with my grandmother at weekends. And she would quite often, take my hand and just have, oh, let's just have a look, dear, she'd say. Oh, let's just have a look at your hand. And I'd say, oh, what does it say? Oh, don't worry, it's all right, it's all fine.
That's amazing.
I've gone off the screen. Hold on, I've gone. There we go.
Brilliant.
So that was going on, and I knew things, but didn't know why I knew them. Even as a, quite a young person, certain things, and later when I read certain books, and I thought, oh, that's stuff I've always known, but have never been told before. Wow. So I remember that very strongly as well when I was a bit older. But yes, so I Oh heavens, where do you start? Probably with my delving into astrology. So my Uncle Stanley, great Uncle Stanley, had been doing astrology for 40 years. And he told me at the time that he had been doing it for 40 years and he was only just scratching the surface. And I then started learning astrology a little bit with him, but actually I went to evening classes in London where I was living at the time. Went to lots of courses, evening class courses in sort of around Hampstead where I was living, and learned a huge amount from really, really top astrologers actually at the time, certainly. So I did that and I played with it a lot for some years, and I still do. Although, and at one time, I even told you this bit, when there's so much. When I went to work in the theatre, I worked in the theatre for a long time in administration. I did a postgraduate diploma in arts administration, and I went into working in a theatre, in lots of theatres, only one at a time. And why did I just say that? I can't remember. Yes, it was to do with the astrology. Yes, I used to, oh yes, so when I was away, that's where I was going. When I was away in a different town, a biggish town on the East Coast called Scarborough, I worked at the theatre in Scarborough with Alan Ayckbourn for 2 or 3 years or something. And I started writing a column for the local newspaper, an astrological column.
Oh, wow.
I thought it would be fun. And I just thought, well, you know, I mean, obviously I was doing it properly. I wasn't just making it up because I wouldn't do that. But I didn't take it particularly seriously because, of course, you've got a 12th of each star sign is a 12th of the population. So you can't delve deeply into what's going on for Aries. But what you can get is an idea of what the planetary positions are. So I would just write it from that. Okay. And then every now and again, I wouldn't meet the deadline. The deadline was on I don't know, Tuesday at midday or something, and I was too busy and I couldn't get to it, so I didn't send it in. So they'd put something else in the space, and people would go to the shop where the newspaper, they had a shop as well where the newspaper was distributed. And people would go into the shop and say, but where are the stars? There's no stars this week. And they would be devastated because I hadn't written them. So I thought it became quite a responsibility. But you know, what I was happy with. I did it for years, maybe 10 years I did that. Can't remember. Anyway, so what else? Yes, I then went to work in another theatre, another town, this time Colchester in Essex. And I'm still doing my column for the local paper in Scarborough. And I started looking at other areas of things that I might like to explore. So I started teaching myself tarot. I bought my first tarot pack, which I think I still have. In fact, I'm sure I still have. I bought my first tarot deck and I taught myself how to do it. And I started doing tarot readings for people and charging for them because I'd been doing it by that time for quite some time. And it wasn't until later, I'm struggling with the chronology somewhat here, but at some point not long after that, I was taken very ill, taken to hospital. I was actually in Scarborough at the time, but I wasn't working there then. Taken to hospital, told I was very ill and I might die. And I remember ringing my mother. My mother is a doctor. She's very elderly now, but she's a doctor. And I remember ringing my mother and saying, I've got this thing. And I heard her go pale on the phone because mostly it kills people within 3 days. So, and I was in my little bed. This was when I was exploring other stuff as well, other books. Shirley MacLaine, I got into Shirley MacLaine in a big way. Loved her books. I've got them all somewhere. Loved her stuff. And actually it was her books that I started reading. And I could only read a sentence or two at a time because I burst into tears. And because she was telling me all these things that I'd always known, but no one had ever told me. So, and then I found myself in hospital going, okay, I'm in my little bed with my pulling up my covers, and I went, okay, what's going on? Why am I here? This is not about being ill. I'm here for some other reason. And I knew I wasn't going to die at that point. Can't tell you how, but I just knew I wasn't dying at that point. And the person who looked after me, one of the nurses, she was an auxiliary nurse in the hospital in Scarborough, was a medium. And so she and I got chatting, and I then went, after I'd had my operation and after I'd figured out that I was okay, or they'd figured out that I was okay, which I was perfectly okay. And then she invited me to one of her open circles.
Wow.
So that was my way. That's how I got into mediumship and realized I was a medium. I had no idea. I just knew things. But I didn't really know quite why. And I remember when I was doing tarot cards, saying to people, or even astrology readings, actually, I'd say, have you got a red car? And they'd say, yes, I've got a red car. And then I'd look at the cards and think, well, why would I know that?
Where's the red car in these cards?
Where's the red car in that card? It's not there. Why do I know she's got a red car? And some really spooky stuff. I remember, well, spooky. Just, Doris, would you go away, please? Yes, there was one. I just was doing a chart for somebody, and I looked at it, and just stuff was leaping out at me. And I was quite blunt about it. It was quite odd that it was such an unusual subject. So that I had this woman there, and I said, there's something going on for you right now, which means you're questioning your sexuality. And she just went pale and said, yes, I've just left my boyfriend and now I'm with a woman.
Wow.
Okay. So very strange stuff that was coming out. Anyway.
I wish you'd have did my chart. You might have told me something sooner.
Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, so then I went into learning to be a medium. So I was at the place called the Spiritualists Association of Great Britain. I rang them up to see if there was a course that I could do, a spiritual development course. And the woman on the phone said, yes, there's one starting tomorrow. Come along. Now, for lots of people, I've heard so many stories of people trying to get into development classes and having to wait years. And I got a place the next day with this amazing woman who was my first teacher. She was fabulous.
And all this came about by being in bed in the hospital, told you might die, and you're there thinking, what's the reasons here? And it's through seeing this nurse.
Yeah, who I'm still in touch with.
And that's the reason you were there. You weren't there to die. You were there to
meet her.
Transition to, yeah.
I'm still in touch with her. She's got one of my puppies. She's got one of my dogs. In fact, she's got two of my dogs. She's got one and her daughter's got one. Not this litter, but a different litter. So that was, and I'm still in touch with her. We're on Facebook together, but yes, bizarre. So I then started going, having been at the Spiritualist Association, I started doing healing there as well. So lots of people, other mediums, were saying to me, but you're a healer. You're a healer. And I went, really? And so I was wandering off visiting my family, and my uncle, who's a very tall man, was having problems with his knee. And I said, oh, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but, give me a knee and I'll do some healing. And he put his leg, very long leg, across my lap. And I just sat there and gave him healing. Didn't know what I was doing, just sort of asked for help. And he had no more problems with his knee for something like 2 or 3 years. My cousin, who had liver cysts at the time, we're talking 30 odd years ago, she had liver cysts and she kept having to go into hospital to have them drained. It was very, very painful. somehow these cysts would enlarge. Presumably they would fill with liquid, and then she had to have an operation where they were drained to take the liquid away. Very unpleasant, and she used to have to go into hospital every 6 months. And I was at her house, and I said, "Oh, well, look, I'm supposed to be a healer. No idea what I'm doing, but, shall I give you some healing?" And she went, "Oh, yes, please." So I just, went, "Okay, well, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but hey."
Guides, trust your intuition.
Yeah, exactly. And then I didn't think any more of it particularly. And then she was due to have an appointment with her specialist at the hospital where she lived. And she then called me afterwards and said, "Oh, I don't have to go this time. My liver cysts are okay." And I went, "Oh, okay, fine. That's great, good." And actually I rang her quite recently because it had come up, the whole story about her liver cysts. So I rang her and said, "Do you remember I did that healing for you 30 years ago on your liver cysts? Do you remember that?" And she went, "Yes." And I said, "When did you have to go back to have them sorted again?" And she said, "I've never gone back."
Oh my God, Jen.
She's had lots of other funny things going on, one way and another, but she never had to go back for the liver cysts. That was one session. I was amazed.
Wow.
So because I was being told that I was a healer, and okay, that might work a bit. So I started doing healing as well as mediumship. And I was also then started training in sound healing. So I've been doing sound healing for 25 years, I think. And look, there's lots of different types of sound healing. I know you will know that. So some people like drums and some people like singing bowls. I use my voice, and I love using my voice, and I use my voice for healing. So I do have a drum, I do have singing bowls, but I don't use them. They're beautiful and there's nothing wrong with them. It's just not how I work.
But you're doing from source. You're using your own gift of voice,
yeah,
and using that to heal.
Yeah. Wow. So I've been doing that for 25 years or something. And then so having been at the SAGB where I was doing mediumship things, I also started going to the Arthur Findlay College. So the Arthur Findlay College, so I was immersing my life in this stuff, really, learning as much as I could. And so the Arthur Findlay College is at Stansted Hall, near Stansted Airport, but it was there first. And it's an amazing building, mock Tudor, I suppose, but it isn't as old as that. But it's sort of a 19th century, I suppose. I don't know exactly. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful place, lots of beautiful land, really, really lovely. And I started going there, and I went there 3 times a year for a week at a time to immerse myself in mediumship development. And I worked with loads of people. I met Gordon Higginson, and I worked with lots and lots of very, very good mediums, including someone called Glyn Edwards, who has since died, sadly, but I worked with Glyn quite a lot. And I then became a tutor there, teaching sound healing. And then it was Glyn who said to me, "Oh, darling, why don't you come on my course? I've got I can't remember what he called his course, mediumship development or something it was called." And he said, "Will you come on my course as a tutor?" And I said, "Well, I haven't ever taught mediumship." And he said, "Well, you learned it, you can do it, darling." And I went, "Oh, okay." So I did. So I was a tutor at the Arthur Findlay College for about 10 years. In fact, I think almost exactly 10 years. And then what? Oh, I don't know. I've run out of breath.
Well,
what came next? Oh, yes. Well, with the sound healing is when I went to Hawaii. I know that you're very interested in the whole thing about Hawaii. So I went first to Hawaii to work with some lovely, this was 1999, I went to Hawaii first. And I went to work with this amazing woman who lives in Hawaii and swims with dolphins and whales. And it's the most amazing thing. And I've been back 3 times since then. So I've been 4 times altogether, but not for quite some time. And I'd love to go again. but this isn't the right time, obviously. But yes, being in the water in Hawaii, which is quite a temperate, it's not hot. That particular island isn't hot, at least not at the times when I went. But about 70, 75 degrees. It's pleasant temperature. It's a very lovely place to be. And so, yes, I swam with dolphins and whales. Sometimes, well, mostly in the sea. Yes, we'd get into the sea, and they would come and play.
And these would be humpback whales.
They're humpbacks mostly. Sometimes pilot whales. In Hawaii, there are undoubtedly others, but I can't think of any others that I remember seeing when I was there. So mostly humpback, and they're huge, of course, humpback whales, you probably know. Pilot whales aren't nearly as big. They're only about 10 foot long or something. They're nothing like as big. And then the mostly Hawaiian spinner dolphins, which are probably about 6 foot long.
That was my impersonation of a spinner dolphin.
Oh, okay, the spinning. Yeah, so they're called spinners because they leap up into the air and they go whee, and then they go splash. And breaching humpbacks are amazing. You know, sometimes they just come out, they bring their nose out of the water and just have a look around. They call that sky hopping, I think they call that.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they breach, where they just go whoosh and then plonk. And they also do this fin slapping, which is a way of getting attention from other whales. They also do singing and singing.
So what did you do with them when you got in? Was there a sense of going? What was a sense of going in there to heal them or to work with them, or?
I wouldn't be so presumptuous as to think I was healing them.
No, they were healing you.
Well, they were absolutely healing me. But yes, it was an interchange. The thing about whales and humpbacks is that they communicate by telepathy. So you can have conversations with them. And I had lots of conversations with them. There was one particular occasion when I was part of a group. There may have been 20 or 30 of us. We were right out at sea. You couldn't, I don't even know if you could see the island from there. Actually, we were quite a long way out, so you couldn't see the bottom of the ocean. If you're just off the island, you can see the bottom of the ocean, but where we were, I'm pretty sure you couldn't. So we all got off the boat and started splashing about in the water, and the dolphins were spinning, you know, not spinning, but they were whooshing around us, and so what happens is they sort of invite you to come and play. So they come close to you, and you go, oh, there's a dolphin, and then everybody sort of starts swimming madly to try and catch up. And they slow down, obviously, because you know you'd never catch up with a dolphin if it wanted to get away. And we never touched them, so they were completely indigenous, natural, wild. And you're not allowed to get too close to them. You're not allowed to get too close to them on purpose, but they come to you.
Yeah, you leave them that option of whether they want to come to you or not, but you can't.
You don't go right up to them, no. And let me tell you, if a dolphin doesn't want to know, it is gone. And if you touched one of those dolphins, you wouldn't see any of them for dust. So none of us touched. We all swam with our arms by our sides. And there was one particular occasion when I was in the ocean, and there was a chap who lived in Hawaii, who I became very good friends with. And he was nearby for some reason, so he was with, you know, you all went off on your own sort of journey. And every now and again, you'd come up and look to see where the boat was and where everybody else was, because it was very easy to get taken off on your own journey. Anyway, he and I found ourselves a little bit of a distance, not hugely, but a bit of a distance away from the boat. And we looked up and we could see all the other people. My screen keeps going funny. There we go. And I came up for air, and he came up for air, and he said, he didn't even say anything. He just went, and I had my mask on, and I looked down in the water, and there were 3 spinner dolphins, full-size spinner dolphins, on their tails, looking at me. So I was on the top of the water because I had a snorkel. I wasn't scuba diving. I was had a snorkel. I was here on the water, and there were three well, actually, they were this way, 3 dolphins like this looking at me.
Wow.
And I put my face in the water, saw these 3 faces. I couldn't see the rest of their bodies because they were literally, well, they weren't that close. They were in the water. They were away, a little way away, but not far. And as soon as I saw them, my face went into a huge smile. And you can't smile with a snorkel on, with a mask on, I mean, because the water comes straight in and drowns you. So I took my face out of the water, got rid of the water in the mask, put the mask back, looked back, and they'd gone. And I thought, and the person I was with, who had been living in Hawaii for a long time and is still there, he said to me, in all the years I have been swimming with dolphins, I have never seen anything like that before. And I went, oh, okay. And then when we got back on the boat, I'm just trying to get rid of this dog. She's desperate to be part of this conversation, clearly. When we got back to the boat, he said to me, it might take a little while, but one of these, you will figure out what they were saying to you. And I said, yes, of course, I'll tune in with them later or whatever. And he said to me on the boat, I've never seen anything like it, ever. And he's been swimming with them for years. So, and actually then I got on with my holiday and my lovely, the work we were doing in Hawaii. And I realized when I got home that I hadn't asked them, the dolphins, what the message was. What were you saying to me? And I'd gone home. I'd gone to stay with my then partner. And because of the difference in the hours, I was, I couldn't sleep. It was summertime and it was bright sunshine and I couldn't sleep. So 4 o'clock in the morning or something, I got up and started reading. And while I was reading something or other, whatever it was, just a novel probably, I realized that I hadn't ever asked the dolphins what they were saying. So I put my book down and said, okay, dolphins, I forgot to ask you what you were saying. I'm now thousands of miles away because I'm in
the UK.
In the UK. And immediately the answer came back. Acknowledgement. And I went, okay.
Acknowledgement.
Why did I need encouragement? Why did I need acknowledgement? Sorry, not encouragement, acknowledgement. And they said, because you don't acknowledge yourself.
Oh, wow.
That was, yeah, getting on 20 years ago, I suppose. That one. So they are amazing. And I had lots of other encounters in the water where I'd say something and you sort of expect dolphins to be love and light and friendly and gorgeous. Sometimes they're quite blunt. So they don't necessarily, sometimes the answer, in fact, quite often the answer you get back is not the answer you expect, which is how I know it's not me making it up. Mm. Because I wasn't used to the dolphin voice, I suppose then. But yes, I had lots of messages. There was one time when I was in a big bay. There's a big bay on the west coast of Hawaii, of the Big Island, where the dolphins go and swim. And they often go there in the morning to just play and whatever. It's a sort of resting place for them. And I was in the water there with maybe only 2 or 3 other people. And we'd all gone off on we were just swam out from the shore. So we weren't on a boat. And I realized I'd been having a conversation with dolphins, but that they'd gone somewhere. I could hear them, but I couldn't see them because they're always that sonic sound they make.
Yeah, so, that clicky clicks, squeals.
Yeah, squealy and clicky. And I could hear them, but I couldn't see them. And I looked up to see where my friends were, and they were quite a long way away because it's a big bay, probably about a mile across. And so I went, help me, dolphins, help me get back to the other people. And immediately, we can't help you unless you help yourself. And then as soon as I went, okay, and I started swimming like mad, except you don't use your hands, you use your feet, swimming really ferociously, trying to get back. And as soon as I put in more effort, the dolphins were underneath me.
Oh my word! What an amazing, an amazing encounter. That is absolutely.
Yeah, I've got a lot of dolphin stories, and working with sound with them. So there's another story. Have you got time for another story? How much time have we got?
Yes, we've got time for another story. It's about whales and dolphins. I am here for whales and dolphins. I am living for this. I want to go there. I want to be with these amazing creatures.
Yeah, they are. They really are. So there was one time I was in this same bay, the bay where they come in the morning, and I just swam out on my own. I wasn't with anybody, but there were quite a few people with kayaks, and they were there looking for dolphins. But the dolphins didn't want to play that day. They were really quiet, and they were really down low in the water. And every now and again, they'd come up for air, because dolphins have to come up every 5-10 minutes or something to breathe. But I was in the water with a mask and a snorkel, but they were on kayaks. There was only one other person in the water who was also with a snorkel and could see underwater. So I could see them way down. And so I decided to do some toning with them. The kayakers were, every time they came up for air, the kayakers would race over, which felt really uncomfortable, actually, because they didn't want to play. And as soon as they got to the place where they'd come up for breath,
they've gone. They'd
gone miles by then. Anyway, so I decided to play with them a little bit, or just to see how they if they would, and how they would interact with me if I made sound in the water. So I had my snorkel, and so I did some toning in the water. So my face is in the water, and I'm toning into the water. And there was this pod of dolphins, maybe, I don't know, 10, 11 dolphins of different sizes, so big ones and baby ones. And I could see them looking at me as I was toning into the water. And then one very large male came over and swam past me like this, looking at me all the time. And I was thinking, okay. So I did it again. He didn't come and, slap me and say, stop, we don't like that noise. Although he might have done. So, and so it was really bizarre. Again, very strange behavior, really. And maybe it was something I didn't like, but goodness, I don't know. If I know with dolphins, if they don't like something, they'll go. They'll just leave, and they didn't. So there I was in the water, still doing toning noises. Not a huge number, just one or two here and there. And I saw another full-size dolphin. Could have been the same one that had come past, I don't know. This dolphin was heading towards me at speed. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And he got to me, nearly. And just before he got to me, he went whoosh up into the air. Spin, bang. And all the people in the kayaks were going, yes, fantastic. But it wasn't for them, it was for me for some reason again. And then he swam round me, came to me from a different direction and did the same thing. And then he went round me and came from another direction and did the same thing. I think he did it 4 times.
Wow.
And then they left. And it just felt, I did feel that they weren't happy about the kayakers, who were really noisy. I don't know. I mean, who knows?
Being very touristy.
Sorry?
Doing what tourists do and get in the way, become a nuisance.
It wasn't a happy Well, actually, I remember thinking and still talking to them at the time and saying, I'm really not happy about this situation with all these kayakers. I'm going to go in now. I'm going to swim to the shore. There was a place I was staying on the shore, so I could just get in there. And I asked them for confirmation. You know, are you not happy about this? These other people? And I started swimming for the shore, and the whole pod came underneath me.
My God.
Okay, thank you. Confirmation.
Amazing encounters.
Yeah.
Really makes me want to I would love to go over there and just have a little percentage of what you have encountered over there. That would be absolutely amazing. Absolutely brilliant.
I've done it 4 times, but I haven't been for quite some time now. I haven't been. The last time I was there was probably about 15 years ago. But I'm still in touch with the people who are there, and I'd love to go again. Definitely, and every now and again I get in touch with them and say, "Oh, I'd like to come over," but it's a very long way.
But very worth it.
Oh, very worth it. Yeah. And
absolutely.
Anyway,
because Hawaii is growing, isn't it? It's a moving island. It's got an active volcano on it, and it's constantly
growing. Yeah. So the Hawaii, which is the biggest island, is still being formed, and there's an active volcano, and so there's lava going into the sea all the time. And when the lava goes into the sea, the steam goes massive amount, plumes of steam.
All the obsidian that's in there.
Obsidian?
Yeah, because that's volcanic glass, so that's what.
Oh, okay.
That's what would make obsidian.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not up on these things like you are. I'm up on other things. So because this lava is going into the sea and solidifying, the island is getting bigger slowly. And because the original island of Hawaii, or the first island of what is now a group of islands, was Kauai, which is in the top. If you look at the row, it's sort of a row like that of islands. The one at the top is called Kauai, and that was the first one. And that's really, well, they all are. They're all volcanic. Kauai is where they filmed Jurassic Park, and there's lots of those. Some of those ravines up in Kauai are remarkable. Ooh. So then the something to do with the plates of the Earth moving. So because the plates of the Earth have moved, Kauai then moved over there, and the next island was born, and then the next island was born, and then the next one. So Hawaii, the big island of Hawaii, which is known as Hawaii, is the most recent and still being born. And the southeast corner of Hawaii is where the volcano is. That sort of area.
Amazing.
Several times. Yes, so that was part of my journey. And since then I've carried on with my healing, and I've been doing, and you mentioned earlier that I was a Neal's Yard lady, which I am, and that came into my life about 10 years ago, and it just sort of filled a space at that time. I'd been moving around a little bit. I'm still with Neal's Yard Remedies, but meanwhile I've trained as a tutor with the Healing Trust. I'm now teaching healing, which I absolutely love. And so that's where I'm putting my energies these days, teaching healing.
And the Healing Trust, is that based in London?
Actually, no, it's a national organisation. The office is actually in Northamptonshire.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not sure if they were ever in London. It's been going a long time. It was created by somebody called Harry Edwards, who was a amazing well-known healer. Well, he became very well known in the 30s, 40s, 50s. He founded what is now the Healing Trust. It was called the National Federation of Spiritual Healers for a long time. He founded that in 1954.
Wow.
And he was apparently remarkable. I didn't know him. He died in 1976. And the Healing Trust is what we now call the National Federation of Spiritual Healers. So it's got a long longevity of people doing healing. Fabulous.
And is that all sorts of areas of healing, like crystal healing, sound healing, or is it just hands-on?
It is hands-on or hands-off. So
Yeah.
we have
wax off. Glad you're sorry.
We have it's up to us, really. We teach both hands-on and hands-off. Some people prefer one way, some people prefer the other. I always work hands-on, but we always, if we want to do hands-on healing, we have to ask permission, because otherwise it might be seen as assault. So, but actually, for me, the warmth of the hand on the body, well, obviously through clothes, is amazing. It's remarkable. But some people prefer to work that way, and that's okay. It's okay. So that's what we do. There are obviously lots of healers who do other things, but when we're working as a spiritual healer, then, or whatever you want to call it, but it is spiritual healing, then we're just doing that generally.
Brilliant. Because you live in Dartmoor.
I live on Dartmoor, yeah.
On Dartmoor. Bovey Tracy?
North Bovey.
North Bovey.
I live about...
Had Bovey in it.
It's got a Bovey in it. It's the other end of the Bovey River. So I'm about 8 or 10 miles from Bovey Tracy. And if you follow the River Bovey, you get to North Bovey, which is my little village where I live, a little tiny village with lots of little thatched houses, and it's very beautiful. Very beautiful.
It does look, at the moment, it's just, yes, what I can see behind you looks a very typical English cottage. It looks beautiful.
That's my fireplace just here. Oh, sorry, I'm pointing at it and I can't see. And that's the door that comes into the house. Those are lots of books and another window. Then that's the front window. There's my cup of tea. That's the front. I can't quite see my dog, who is lying on the sofa.
Oh, bless.
But it's mine is 14th century, my house.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
So you say that you are a tutor at the Healing Trust.
Yes.
So where do you go to teach?
Well, I have been teaching in the parish hall across the village green.
Okay.
Because it's convenient to me, and it means that people come and congregate. At the moment, we're not doing that because of the thing. But what I'm planning right now is to do some more courses, but on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't used this particular thing that you used before, and I don't know if that's better or worse or whatever, but Zoom is good and I use it a lot. So it's a bit difficult to do hands-on healing when you haven't got a body. But what I've been doing for the Healing Trust, actually you came to my last one, didn't you? I've been doing meditations, distant healing meditations on the Healing Trust Facebook page. So that is facebook.com/healing charity is the name of the Healing Trust Facebook page. And every Wednesday now I'm doing a distant healing meditation just for half an hour. Very casual, very, nothing formal about it.
I can hear the blackbirds again now. Ain't that funny?
Yeah. Did you just hear it now?
Yeah, I just heard the mail because
I just heard it as well, actually.
At the last meditation, we were nicely in, and I was hearing blackbirds. I was thinking, well, it's not us because our windows are all closed. So I was like, is that in my mind or is that over where you are? And you had to look at the video and you were like, nope, the blackbirds.
And I wasn't concentrating on the blackbirds because they're around me all the time. So I didn't hear them until much later. when we were in this, I leave people in the silence for a short time, and while we were in the silence, I thought, oh, blackbirds, and I don't know, it's happened more than once now. And there was a one blackbird out of that window and another blackbird out of that window, and they were obviously talking to one another across the house. But yes, I don't have soundproofing in the house, so I can hear them quite easily.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. But it's just weird how you were talking about that meditation.
Yes.
And then it chirps up again. Like, I was there too. I was listening to you, Jennifer.
And I've been sitting outside in the garden a little bit this afternoon. And there was there's a huge tree in next door's garden. And I could see I could hear the blackbird as well. And I can hear it now. Mm-hmm. It's yelling its head off, and there was another one not far away. Yes, it's really giving a bit of a chirp.
So if anybody out there got any questions at all for this amazing lady,
we've been talking for an hour.
Please feel free to ask. So we can find you on the Healing Trust, because I joined, because the organisation just did a week of
Healing Awareness Week. Yes. So we did Healing Awareness Week, which was I think it was the 4th to the 10th of May. And I, with some of my colleagues, we put together some interviews. Some of them were with me, some of them were with other colleagues. I did a bit on sound healing, actually, on there. Actually, I did one on the breath and one on sound healing. And my colleague, Valerie, did an interview on what is healing, and another interview on the emotions. What are the emotions? And then there were lots of other bits and pieces as well. So yes, but now, we were doing a healing meditation every night, not necessarily me, but one of my colleagues. If it wasn't me, it was one of my colleagues. And then since then, I've said I'll continue to do Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Wednesdays at 9 o'clock on the Healing Trust Facebook page.
So it doesn't clash with us. So you're more than welcome to join Jennifer at 9 o'clock for the meditations.
What time's yours? Yours is 5, isn't it?
Mine's 5, so we're fine. That's absolutely fine. So I do sometimes share, if I am in there, I'll give you a little share so people, as a reminder of, there's Jennifer, come and it is lovely. It's so nice. It's half an hour.
Yeah.
Because I do need to take some tips from you, actually, because you're quick at getting in to your live feeds, and you are so quick at saying goodbye.
Gosh, okay.
My goodbyes last for about 10 minutes. And you are just so calmly like, no, goodbye. I'm like, how does she do it that quick?
I do like talk, because none of them can be heard, but they can write comments. And so I'm often going, oh, hello, oh, hello, you're here, hello, which I heard you do earlier as well, which is good. And I think that's nice. People like to be acknowledged if they're not being heard, if they're not being heard in another way. So I let them arrive, and then once I start, I'm not going to read any more names out until I've finished, and then I'll often go back and say, oh yes, such and such is here, and people write me little notes. And
absolutely no,
yeah, that's all it is.
It is nice, and it's so nice to come together in this way. I'm certainly eating my own hat at this, because I've been so against social platforms.
Oh yes.
And in the workshops, I'm always like, we're always on the computer, we're doing this, doing that. And now I'm eating those words, because it's like, actually, during a crisis, it's so nice to come together, and it's nice to acknowledge the people.
Yeah.
So if it weren't for them, we wouldn't be doing.
But what is really interesting, and I've been doing healing for 30 years, I wouldn't have thought for a second that you would be able to do distant healing via Zoom. The energy that we create in a relatively small circle. There's probably 20 to 30 people-ish.
That's small.
Well, it's okay, you know. I'm not moaning. There's another one I join, and they often have about 50 people. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm not judging. But say 20. I think the last one I did, which was Wednesday, I know it went. I definitely, because I'm not watching because you can see it on Zoom, can't you? You can. Actually, it was on Facebook Live. Sorry, I was. Every now and again, I look at the little number by the eye so I can see how many people are around. And I definitely saw 25, but I wasn't following it more. But sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, depending.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and I only give a reminder on the day, a couple of hours before. I don't, you know, splash it about too much. Anyway, the point is that I was astounded, even though I've been doing distant healing for years, and I've done distant sound healing as well, which also works. But the idea of a group of people on Zoom, Facebook Live, creating such an enormous energy together has astounded me. And I'm getting just as much benefit from it as everybody else.
Yeah.
It's not me sending healing, it's us doing healing together.
Yeah. Because the one I joined in, we were sending healing to the healers.
Yes, I think we were.
Yeah.
Yes, we probably were. And sometimes I ask people to focus on themselves before we send more healing. That's right. We were doing healing to all the healers of the world, weren't we?
Yep.
But then I leave them, the people I'll just leave you there to focus on that. And it's usually 5-10 minutes, you know, it's not very long. And then meanwhile, I'm going, the energy, so it's amazing. And then people come back. I ask them to come back, and a little bit of chatting, which is me, but them writing things. And they were saying good, and people who have been doing healing for years have also been saying, well, like me, have been saying, how amazing is that? How amazing that we created that amount of energy. And it was really, really powerful.
Yeah.
And so now we know we can do it. We didn't think we could. Or at least I didn't think we could, because if you're doing healing, you're generally in a room with somebody.
Yeah.
Although distant healing certainly works. But I've just been amazed. And actually, this whole new technology thing, well, newish, Skype's been going for a long time, is just this whole pandemic thing is just allowing us to find different ways of connecting, I think. I mean, it's a lot more than just that, I'm sure. In fact, I know. But it's just bringing out and Zoom, the shares in Zoom apparently have gone through the roof because everybody's supporting Zoom, because it's a particularly good one. It's just a different way of being in the world. And that's what partly I think is what this pandemic is about. We're all finding new ways to connect.
That's it. Because, I mean, even yesterday, I was in a Zoom meeting with my knitters, which I have missed so much, because I always go on a Tuesday night to see the lovely ladies, and we just knit or crochet. But they've done that now on a Zoom meeting, and it was just so nice. You know, obviously videos, we're meant to be interacting and talking, but we're just sitting there and, you know, like we would do in a normal
thing, yeah.
We're just doing our work, and we'll have a little chat. It's the only time I'm actually quiet, because I don't want to drop a stitch. So I don't actually do much talking. I listen, because I'm like, I need to concentrate, because I'll lose count and whatnot. But it is amazing what you can keep doing.
Yes, it's a very strange time, and you know, a lot of people. I mean, I know that because of the they've released the restrictions a tiny bit, but apparently car parks on Dartmoor this weekend have been so full that they've stopped people coming up onto Dartmoor, I think, because
Good.
so many people were coming up today. Well, I haven't been out of the house today apart from to take my dogs for a walk.
Yeah, no. Today was the first day I left the house since a week and a half ago. I'm still restricting. I don't.
Oh, me too. Me too.
I don't care what's going on, what they say. I'm going with how I feel, and
yeah, me too.
I'm still doing, because, like you say, they lightly lifted the restrictions, but people have took that inch and have run a mile and gone, "Oh no, we could do this." It's like, no, no.
So, and Dartmoor is a particularly well, it's a very precious place, and there are a lot of people living and working here, and there's lots of farmers and people with livestock. So it's always a slightly precious place that
I can't wait to explore. I've only done a little bit on Dartmoor, obviously because we've not got our own transport. But once Adam's got his car,
yes,
we're going to go. And we've got people on here wanting to go to Dartmoor, because we had the lovely Naomi on Wednesday. She came on to do a talk, and she goes out to Dartmoor to connect to do with her artwork.
Okay, brilliant.
So there's going to be groups of us going to Dartmoor, respecting it, but finding these lovely, precious places of old history and
it is remarkable. Energy. It is remarkable. And I haven't really left the village apart from I've been out. Basically, I'm getting my groceries delivered. I just have dogs that I walk, but about once every maybe 10 days, I drive to a shop, and there's one that I go to a little further afield than the nearest town, and pick up a couple of bits, and then I go home again.
Yeah, I had to go on a special mission on Thursday, which involved me going to the other side of Exeter, which I caught the bus for.
Okay.
I did have my mask. I was all PPE'd up and thought, right, I'll wear my mask, show me willing. Going there, I think there's only 8 people that got on the bus, all over 60. None of them wore a mask. So I'm there looking like Darth Vader. And like, do I need this on? So I took mine off. I thought, well, if you lot ain't, and I was putting this on for you guys.
Yes.
And then on the way back, again, there was a handful of people on there. Should all be quite restricted. They shouldn't actually be out on the bus, bless them, but there were. And again, no masks. So I was just like, okay, never mind.
Well, we don't have the same numbers in the southwest of people that have been infected by that horrid virus, but it's very possible. Yes, potential touch wood, but it is possible because we're distant from the main centres like London and Birmingham and what have you, that we'll get it later. So I'm not planning on going anywhere.
No, I'm not at all. I'm staying here until they say you can go back to work. As soon as I go back to my full-time job, then I'll start going back into normality. But at the moment, I'm still working with being here and doing what I don't even sit in the garden.
I do sit in the garden, but then my garden isn't overlooked by anybody.
Ours is, and we had that nutty woman hacking our hedge for the last 2 years, so she's killed the hedge, so everyone can see into our garden, and it's just a bit like, you sit out there to have a barbecue, and all of a sudden, everyone's watching you eat, and you're like, oh, go away. So no.
One side is an allotment, the other side is a churchyard, and the other side is there's a little garden next to me, but then it's the churchyard, so there's nobody really seeing.
Beautiful.
Okay, right. So nobody has any questions by the look of it, but that's okay.
No, but Jennifer, thank you so much. We have covered everything, but and I know when I gave a little video call the other day just to check in on you and see how you were doing, you did mention you've got that vibe of running a retreat to Hawaii,
Love to.
maybe.
Yeah.
If that ever fruitions, I am first on that list, please.
I'd love to do a journey to Hawaii. It's a while since I've been, but I hold it very closely in my heart.
Mhm.
And I know that the people who I know who live there would be only too joyous to do something. And it would be quite easy using those people, if you see what I mean, to bring those people in to organise certain things when we got there, if you see what I mean.
Absolutely.
So yeah, no, it'd be fantastic. I'd love to go back. I don't know how much it's changed. I doubt it's changed much. But
Might be a few hotels up there, or
maybe a few more hotels. Don't know. There aren't that many hotels in that particular part of Hawaii. Well, there were.
the whales and dolphins will still be there, and
They will.
bless them, they're amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go. I will drop you a message later on just to thank you and everything, but then I'll just chat to the fellow viewers on here. So from me and from all the guys watching, thank you. I absolutely adore you, and
Oh, thank you. I adore you too.
honor. It's an honor to call you a friend. It's so lovely, and it's a shame we're not going to be at the healing weekend this year, but
I know.
I will catch you as soon as this is over.
We will.
We'll meet up and do something.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, Doris has gone to sleep now. She's
no. Thank you very much, Jennifer.
You're welcome. Love to Adam. Adam, love to you. Take care.
He's operated this whole thing.
I know. Take care, my darling. Lovely to see you. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome.
Very happy to have been here.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Ah, wasn't that beautiful? I absolutely whales and dolphins, and to be on a spiritual level with those amazing, gentle souls that work on this planet. I think that's pretty amazing. So thank you so much for supporting her and listening to the amazing life that she has led. So many of us reach a spiritual journey quite at the end of in the middle of our lives. So it's really nice when people have been around it to have that side of that spirituality and to see, how people are going and working through the years of that and through the changes. Certainly different to my experience of this side of this new millennium to Jennifer's in the 90s side with technology and stuff like that. So it is amazing. I'm glad you've all enjoyed it. It's an amazing journey, amazing story. Yeah, I would love to do something like that. I have such strong connections to the sea, being a Piscean. I should have had flippers. I shouldn't have had feet. I should have had flippers. I'd have made a wicked Ariel in The Little Mermaid, although really I perhaps would have been Ursula the Sea Witch. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, guys. And again, enjoy your day off from me tomorrow. We will be off doing our own little thing. I think I've actually got a video call with Anne and Georgie tomorrow. Just checking in on them, ready for next Saturday. And Andrea will be seeing on Wednesday. So enjoy your day off. And I'll see you Monday just to round up this week of Crystal Connections. Just summarize how you felt throughout this week. And we're going to start the new week with either a solar plexus or a crystal of your choice. And Mondays, we just connect. We just connect with that stone. Okay? Love to you all. Enjoy your Saturday evening. Bring out the cider. Bring out the rum. Away!